Hello and welcome back to the Film Custodian Show. I am the Film Custodian and I'm back in the garage behind a theater. And I live here. It does slap. Spoilers, if you want to go into this completely cold, go watch the show and then come back here and watch this video because it's kind of impossible to talk about without spoiling some stuff. So here we go. Reacher on Amazon Prime stars Alan Ritchson as the title character, Reacher. I really enjoyed this show. I think it's a pretty good show. I'm not familiar with any of the books. I haven't watched any of the Tom Cruise films, but this was a really good show. And so yeah, here's some highlights. I think first and foremost, it is sort of a mystery action adventure type of a story. Again, I'm not real familiar with the character. I haven't read any of the books, like I said. He's kind of like I guess he's like an ex-special forces type of guy. And now for whatever reason, he just wanders. I mean, just literally the clothes on his back, a wallet, with like $200 in it, and a medal that was given to him, and he just wanders the streets. He goes from town to town. He ends up in a small town. There's a bunch of murders, gets caught up in the murder, and then involves his brother, who is also murdered, and now it all ties together, and there's action, there's love and romance. I mean, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. There's a detective in there. The guy kind of comes right out of pulpy type of situations. He kind of reminds me of the guy actually from The Wire. He's sort of the chief detective, and then they kind of all gather together to solve the mystery. There's a lot of interesting characters. Everybody has their own sort of characterization and nuance to them. Jack Reacher himself is somewhat of a machine sometimes. He's not real full of emotion or anything. He's very just straightforward and matter of fact. And I've read that this is accurate to the character that is in the books. Again, I haven't read the books, so I don't know. But that, sometimes that seemed like it was kind of a little bit of a problem because you're not getting an emotional reaction from the actor. And I think sometimes that kind of hindered some of the scenes going into it. The action, of course, is great. The action is fantastic. There's a lot of really good fight scenes. Alan is he's a huge guy, and I think he beefed up even more for this TV show. And you really feel every single hit, every single punch. They're throwing people into walls. You really feel that. So that's great. Again, it's just sometimes I wish there was a little bit more emotion coming out of the actor, coming out of the character, but I think they were trying to be accurate to what this character is, which is a little more less emotion. I guess kind of like Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes isn't really supposed to show any emotion. He's supposed to be more of like a machine, a very calculating guy. And yeah, that really came across. But really, I guess so besides all the good stuff, I guess one of the biggest problem I have with it is just the tone. Tone is very important. It can make or break your show or your movie, in my opinion. So, from the get-go, it seemed like it was kind of a quirky dramedy. There was some drama, and then there was some comedy thrown in there, and then out of nowhere, there's just this horrific violence. And I was taken aback. I was like, what? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Because tonally, it was a little more lighthearted before that. A little bit quirky, a little bit kind of offbeat. And that really, again, comes from the Jack Reacher character, who's very much just matter of fact about everything. It's well, yeah, I mean, that's just the way I do it. I do it like that. There's a lot of just his kind of attitude towards everything and every situation. And then now, you're looking at this horrible violence, and it's just kind of well, that happens sometimes, kind of a thing. And it's well, all right, so is this really dark? Is this a really dark drama, or is this some kind of dramedy or comedy? And that was really through the entire series. They couldn't quite nail down exactly what the tone was going to be. Is this really serious? Is this kind of more of a quirky, funny kind of thing? And that plays a lot into the pulpiness of it. Is this sort of like a pulp you know, Pulp Fiction type of, not Pulp Fiction the movie, but pulp as in like the crime mysteries, you know, which can be a little bit more exaggerated, a little bit more ridiculous. And a show that did that really well is Banshee. Banshee is fantastic. It knew exactly what it was from the beginning. Tonally, it was always, this is it. We're doing pulp. We're doing ridiculous chase scenes, ridiculous fight scenes, ridiculous, you know, scenarios where we're going in, we're doing a heist and this and that. So yeah, if you like The Boys and you like Homelander, the actor that plays that stars in Banshee along with a lot of other really great actors. Banshee's a great show. Maybe I'll do a review on it one day. It's fantastic. But the point is that that's pulp. That's, you know, the action, the ridiculous action, the heists, all these things, explosions going on. You know, at one point there's a villain in a box truck because he's just so fat that he's like embarrassed to go out in public, so his whole office is in this moving semi-truck. I mean, just ridiculous stuff, right? So now let's go back to Reacher, which was always kind of like it wanted to be pulpy, but at the same time it wanted to maintain a sense of realism that this could happen in the real world. And they didn't have a huge budget either. You know, and so you get all these horrific murders going on, and then you get confused just tonally what's happening, you know, just these violent, big bursts of violence out of nowhere. And then they kind of go back to more of like, oh, this is just hometown America, you know, eating peach pie and hanging around, you know, looking at the neighbors. And it's like they couldn't quite figure out what they wanted to do tonally. And then there was a lot of predictability too. A lot of the twists and turns were pretty predictable. The villains, as soon as you see the actor come on, you're like, oh, he's a villain. You know, so there wasn't a whole lot of surprises that way. You kind of, you know from just when someone walks in, okay, he's a good guy, he's a bad guy. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, this was a good movie, a good TV show, but as far as the mystery goes, you already know who the villains are. You're just not sure exactly how they're doing, you know, the plot, the evil scheme that they're doing. You're not sure how they're doing, and that's more of the mystery. It's like how they do that and how they figure that out. But the villains themselves are all, you know, well acted and everything. There really wasn't a whole lot of bad acting per se. Everybody really did a pretty good job, and yeah, I mean, and I'm down for more. You know, bring it on. I guess they're doing a season 2 of Reacher, so if they fix some of these issues, they get the tone down and they be a little less predictable, you know, in the writing. Some of the writing is a bit spotty and a bit obvious, not necessarily lazy, but just very like, oh, okay, that's kind of like a, you know, of course he's going to tell you a story while we're running around with, you know, with guns, and we're going to, you know, hey, Reacher, I'm going to tell you a story, you know, and it's like, why? So, you know, some of the stuff didn't work. But the stuff that did work is really good. So yeah, I recommend it. Reacher on Amazon Prime. It's a good show. Amazon Prime makes good shows. Except for Rings of Power. Get another jab in there at Rings of Power. Any chance I get. Alright, well, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my videos, wait until the very end of the video, and then there'll be a couple different squares that pop up. Click on those videos, check those out. You know, I review Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, Star Wars stuff. It's all up there. Please like and subscribe. Please share the video. It takes a second and it doesn't cost you anything. All right. I'll see you in the next one.